G'day folks, welcome to the show. Fishing's great fun. Why don't you come along and join me? We hope you enjoy the show. Oh, thank you, Mother, for the rabbit. Oh, unbelievable, folks. Rexy boy has done it again. Today, folks, we fish with the complete angler, Jimmy Allen. We travelled to the Northern Highlands of Tasmania on Arthur's Lake for some magnificent fly fishing for trout. Rex. Fishing. Kissing them, going them back. Rex. Fishing. Kissing them, going them back.
Well, folks, it's no secret that I love fly fishing, and it's no secret that the reputation of the Highlands of Tasmania travels the entire globe. With me is Jimmy Allen. Many of you know him, as I call him, the complete angler. And I reckon that's a pretty good description of a man who has dedicated his entire life to the art of fly fishing. Here at the Complete Angler Lodge, people travel from right around the international globe in search of a wild trout fishery that has a fantastic reputation. But sometimes, Jimmy, the trout don't read the script and they're very hard to catch, because if you aren't there with the proper imitation with fur and feather, you might as well go down to the fish and chip shop for a feed.
That's right, Rex. It's absolutely imperative when you come to Tasmania, particularly in the autumn, to have certain patterns to match the hatch. And I've got a few things to show you, Rex. Firstly, we'll start off with what I consider the most significant pattern of all, and that's the beetle patterns. Here we have a gum beetle, and of course my favourite, the Great Lake beetle, the big red beetle there. And to match that hatch, we have gum beetles there, and we have my favourite fly of all, which I think probably is the most significant all-round pattern, the red tag. And the red tag's my favourite, and of course it matches the Great Lake beetle admirably. And so we've got mayfly nymphs there, and if the fish aren't up on the surface, perhaps we'll have to go down under the surface for mayfly nymphs, or fish with a nymph. So there we have the actual mayfly nymph, and here's a couple of patterns here, just tied out of seals for pretty humble looking flies. And here we have a floating nymph, so if they start hatching, we can fish on the surface with a floating nymph, and you'll see that's got a little bit of a hackler, so it will float. And this year, Rex, for the first time for 7 years, we've got a few jassids.
I've heard of them before. I spoke to them on a plane with former Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser, who said, if you ever want to know what frustration is, get a jassid hatch on Arthur's or the Great Lake and don't have an imitation. Is that an over-exaggeration?
That is actually 100% true. Now, firstly, have a look at it. It's like a little red cicada with an absolutely scarlet belly, and here I've got for you half a dozen jassid patterns. There's two different types here, one with a little wing and one with a wing case. But you see the scarlet red body, and we'll use jassid patterns if they get onto the jassids. And at Arthur's Lake and at Penstock and a few of the other waters, jassids reign supreme in the few years that they hatch. Now, I've also got a beadhead nymph there if we really have to get down underneath the surface of the water and scratch along for a living. But if you're coming to Tasmania, it's also important you have a few ant patterns, a few caddis patterns, like Royal Coachmans and things, and because if you don't come with a good selection of flies, sometimes you have to match the hatch. Other times it's not so important, but most times when the fish get finicky and they get on jassids, you have to have that jassid pattern or caddis pattern or mayfly pattern.
Let me tell you, folks, when that man speaks, it's like Shane Warne teaching you how to do a leg spinner in cricket. It's a fascinating art, and fly fishing's more than just catching a fish. And I tell you what, this might look like a scene out of The Nutty Professor starring Jerry Lewis, It's a fascinating art, fly fishing, but I think, Jim, we've had enough of this. Let's hit the water.
Oh, look at that, Rex!
Oh, yeah.
Look at that!
Well, I tell you what,
He went for it. The change to the nymph, and suddenly we're back in action.
what Jimmy's talking about is the fact that we were fishing dry fly here with a little bit of an overcast sky in the Central Highlands of Tasmania. And a lot of people who fly fish down here would know that that spells duns, which is a stage of the mayfly. However, no mayfly duns came forth, so we decided to come fifth and cheat a bit and put a dual nymph rig on. I've got a little wet fly and a little Tom Jones on the end, and Jimmy has caught a beautiful... His mouth is in the side of his tackle
trout. I think we foul hooked him.
You foul hooked him. But look at the golden flanks of that fish.
But he still had a go at it.
Look at the golden flanks of that magnificent fish. A male, and I can tell you now, well, he's an absolute beauty. An absolute beautiful specimen. However, as we've said before, this fish does not go into the frying pan, because the unwritten rule of fly anglers right around the globe, Jimmy, is if you foul hook them,
catch and release.
Catch and release, and in your case, kiss and release. Can we actually get that on tape again, ladies and gentlemen? Mr. Jim Allen. And the only reason I'm not going to kiss him, because I don't know where Jim's lips have been. I'll kiss him on the cheek. That's a beautiful male fish. That is what trout fishing is all about. And he wants to go, so certainly we can sort of let him go. And
he's away.
Goodbye, my friend.
He's away. Ah, well.
There he goes.
Well, there
How
you go,
about
Rex.
that? So the lesson, folks, is, well, Mr. Consistency here will always pull them out. And whether there's a little bit of luck involved, you need that in every style of fishing. But the big thing is just be persistent and never give up. And that's a good lesson in life. Let's see if we can do it again. Now, folks, you usually know that I go like that to look at you people. But for obvious reasons of safety in fly fishing, I'm leaving my glasses on. Jimmy, you have been part of a very vocal local body who have been critical of the draining of this lake and the possible interruption of one of the finest food chains in southern Australia of mayfly. Is that correct?
That's right, Rex. We've been worried about Arthur's Lake because with Lake Sorrel getting so coloured and the loss of Penstock Lagoon, Arthur's Lake is really the jewel in the Highlands of Tasmania. And so we've been arguing with the Hydroelectricity Corporation to keep the levels up, to keep the weed beds and the mayfly hatch in December, January and February, and generally for the good all-round being of the brown trout fishery here. But unfortunately this year, they want to erect another electric pylon set over in the cow paddock, and so consequently they're going to drain the lake down to the minimum level to keep some sort of fishery going and erect those pylons during the winter this year, so we're going to lose the level. But hopefully we'll get a wet winter and she'll be full again next year and the mayfly hatch won't be too damaged.
In this user pays time in human society, where the farmers pay substantial money and buy the water for their own use. And I suppose this is sort of along the same lines, is that the fishermen only pay a few bucks to fish in here, and the real money comes from the production of hydroelectricity.
Absolutely, and of course irrigation, because this water goes into the Great Lake from here and then down into the Poatina hydro station, and then of course out through Cressy in the northern half of Tasmania, and is used for irrigation. And as you well know, we've had an extremely dry summer, and so all the farmers desperately need the water as well. So there's the double use of water, and of course we fishermen come third.
Well, we're giving it a bit of a go here tonight, folks. So we've gone wet fly fishing. That is a combination of fur and feather to imitate nymphs and small fish under the surface of the water. At the moment, my nymph is in the left ear of my cameraman, Harry Alphabet. And I tell you what, I think I might have taken his ear off, because I just asked him before, folks, would you like a cup of tea, H? He said, no, I've got one ear. Thank you very much. I think I'll get it out of your earlobe. Thank you, Harry.
Rex. Gone fishing.
Oh, he took it, Rex. Gee.
I tell you what, that nymph is working all right.
Oh, it's a nice fish
Oh,
too.
that is
Look
a
at
nice
him.
fish.
Yeah,
I
there
tell
we
you
go.
what, that is an absolute beauty.
Gonna get under control here. Oh, left foot there. That's all right, no worries. Come on, baby. Oh, look, he's a nice fish too.
He is a beautiful
He's
fish.
taken the... Oh, look at the size of him.
Yeah, what a lovely
Green
fish.
back of him.
I think it's also worth just taking a moment that a lot of fish, Jim, are lost at the landing net. And probably 90% of fish lost, whether it's fly fishing or marlin fishing, are lost right at the edge of the boat or the bank of the river, isn't it?
That's right, Rex. Well, it's just a matter of, with the shot of the landing net, to not panic and just take the easy shot when it comes. Look at it. Look at that. Look at his green back.
Super fish. At this stage, I've got the net in the water, and Jim is actually bringing the fish towards the net. And as soon as he's over the top, we just go like that, and that's the end of the ball game. Yibbida yibbida, that is all, folks.
Now, that's a
beautiful
beautiful
male fish. I'll just lay it down there because I think that Harry and the viewers at home can actually see what a beautiful fish that is. Hey. That is a beautiful example of a lovely homebred Tasmanian trout. A beautiful male, and have a look at that nymph in the side. And Jimmy, the nymphal stage of many insects in the highlands of Tasmania, an intricate part of the food chain.
Oh, absolutely, Rex. And of course, it's the nymph before the mayfly hatch. And when things aren't active, like they haven't been this afternoon, we have to go under the surface of the water with a nymph, and that yields success. It's taken us a long time to get there, but late in the afternoon, we've just managed to catch up to a couple of fish.
I might just put this one back and just say something. Just say something then. Just nice and easy, mate. Nice and easy. I'm just going to let him go and make sure that he's okay. And down under the boat he goes. Over there is an area called Hydro Creek. All of these successful impoundments, although a lot of them, like Arthur's and the Great Lake, are natural watercourses, have been altered by man and his progression. The levels of the water have risen, but at the end of the autumn, Jim, they close these systems down and they go up these creeks in their millions to spawn.
That's right. In a month from now, Rex, we'll see fish congregate around the mouths of all the rivers and all the creeks, and then, of course, the season closes. And, of course, come May, they're all up in the creeks, and some of the best sights you see is thousands of fish all just lying there doing their thing.
I noticed before the group of sheep actually, when we were filming there, actually moved away.
Well, good sheep will do that, Rex.
So I believe. Thank you very much. Right on cue. Oh, Jimmy took it right at the boat and he's gone under. Oh, look at him.
Good on you, Rex. He's gone straight under the boat on you. Your rod tip in the water there.
Get the rod tip down like that?
Yeah, why do they do that? Look at him.
Oh, because he said there's Jimmy Allen. Who's that big ugly fella with him?
Yeah, but they seem to always want to get under the boat.
I tell you what, perseverance has been the key today, and it's a good lesson for the people out there, Jim.
Well, you stuck with the wet, I played with the nymph, and finally, patience rewarded. Well, where is he gone? There, let me get the net.
He's all right. Oh, he's a nice fish too. I tell you what, he's a lovely male fish.
Careful.
Have a look at him.
Oh, look at that.
What a beautiful fish, Jim.
Yeah, gorgeous
I
colour.
tell you what, he's a beautiful fish. And I tell you what, folks, he pumped one of the complete angler specials in the side there. Have a look at that. Don't know whether it sort of imitates anything, but he saw fit to take that. Now, that's a beautiful example I reckon about 1.1, 1.2 kilo. Mate, it's your lucky day. And I say, mate, look at that hooked jaw. I tell you what, Jim, the fish we've got have been tough, but they're beautiful examples of why Tasmania is a world-class trout fishery. There you go, mate.
Red spots, Rex.
Just beautiful. There you go, mate. Oh, look, that's fantastic.
Either way.
And just let me say to you, folks, as I expose my bald cranium to the elements again, it's been far too long since I've had my old mate Jimmy Allen. We've known each other, Jim, now since 1968, and that's 30 years ago. It's been great to spend a day on the water with you, old boy. I wonder where I got that old boy from.
Well, it's been good fun, Rex. Anyway, the Moccapan scoreboard reads 1 to Rex on the wet and a couple to Jim on the nymph, and it's been a bloody good day.
And I tell you what, folks, that sums it up. A couple of mates sharing something mutual. Fishing and the magnificent outdoors of the best country in the world. Thanks a lot, Jim.
It's been good fun, Rex.
Folks, Bushy has won the toss and is elected to kick with the breeze. I reckon it's about a 10-goal win here, Bushy.
I'll tell you what, I hope it's a 10-fish win.
How do you think when the alarm went off this morning?
Well, you weren't there with the coffee for me, I noticed that.
Folks, believe it or not, this is 5:05 a.m. on the wild west coast of Tasmania, getting towards the middle of November. The cameraman and the sound man are usually in shorts. Mate, they've got trench coats on now. Bushy, this is seriously west coast material here. It's a magnificent area, though.
It's fantastic. We've got huge sand dunes over at the back of us, and hopefully a run of whitebait along the edge here so that some big sea-run trout will come in and hammer it.
Not a lot of people have actually experienced the run of brown trout that make their way to the sea and actually live and play and frolic in these magnificent conditions. As against the freshwater ones that we go after, these are quite different. You wouldn't rather be in bed with your missus turning the electric blanket from 3 down to 2. You'd rather be out here with me, wouldn't you?
Yes, Rex.
I saw a little international fax come through our accommodation back there in Strawn a moment ago. It was about a little polar bear that said to his mother, "Mum, are you sure I'm a polar bear?" She said, "Why do you ask, son?" He said, "How come I'm always cold?" Bushy, I think we'd better go fishing, folks. That's what the weather does to you, folks.
What's that clattering noise? Is your reel playing up? Is that your teeth? Get anything here, mate? It's pretty dirty.
Tell you what, I'm just about to give it away.
Yeah, they're supposed to be right in close. I don't know what's... Oh, Jesus, look out! Can't say that, can you?
No, you can't
he's
say
right
it.
at our feet. Hang on. Right at your feet. Come on, fish.
Have you done this before?
Oh, it was just pure luck, mate.
Have you done this before, sea runners?
No, not here. I have in Victoria, but not down here. Look at that, right at your feet. Look at that, he's a nice fish too. Yep.
Isn't that amazing?
Just that little Tilson, little shallow running minnow.
I tell you what, he is a nice fish, Bushy.
Oh, I'll slide him up the bank. Hang on.
Oh, that's a serious trout.
Look at that. Oh, well, we've come good.
Now, isn't that a magnificent looking fish? I tell you what, it's beautiful colour, isn't it?
It's a bit windy for the fly rods, so we've had to grab the spin rod because this wind is freezing. Look out.
I tell you what, watch out, Bushy!
We're in the surf, look out. It's a tidal wave, a tsunami.
Up. Can you tell us just a little bit about the sea-run brown trout, particularly the sea-run fishery of this west coast here in Tassie?
Well, these fish actually run to sea. Most of the brown trout, as you know, are spawned in the stream, and they live in the stream for most of their lives. But some trout, we don't know exactly why. He's a lively one, Rex.
Isn't he lively?
We don't know exactly why. Run to sea, and they eat all the little fish, bait, prawns that are out there, and they get very, very fit. So the meat's red, strong fish.
Well, he's fit. You might just sort of
See if we can get him to revive
get him to go back now, mate. Okay, just a nice fish, eh? He's going to be fine. Well, I tell you what, this is a first for me and for you, mate.
Yep.
You got a bit of a kick to him. There
Yep.
he goes, just
He's
as
fine.
easy as that. Now, folks, the new range of K-Bush fishing rods is going to come out very, very soon. Bushy, can you just explain to us that very short butt version of your rod there?
Rexy's been having a go at me about this butt for about the last 3 days, but when I packed to come down to Tassie, I was in a bit of a hurry and the rod wouldn't fit into the tube, folks. So rather than get a new tube, I took the hacksaw to the rod.
So there you are, folks, and particularly the kids, there's a lesson. If the rod tube's not long enough, get a shorter rod. I tell you what, talking about rod, where is that rod green? This is disgraceful. Working conditions. Bushy, I think we'll go on strike. See you later. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. We're fishing in the Henty River. The old man walked in and said, Rexy, weed.
You're kidding.
The weed's kicking. The weed's kicking. The weed's kicking. You wouldn't believe it, Bushy.
Ah,
You wouldn't believe it. Look at this. I tell you what, no wonder Harry couldn't pick up the trout, mate. You could just hardly see it. Now, have a look at that. That is my first sea-run brown trout. I'll tell you what, Bushy, that was your first. So we've broken the duck, and we believe from our friends here in Tasmania, this is the first time that's ever been captured on film, brown trout in the salt water.
yeah, that's amazing.
Look at
isn't
that.
it? A little tacker, but still.
Now, Bushy, 22,000 kilometres that way, what is it?
Patagonia.
And that is on the southern tip of South America, and you can't get any further south from that. Folks, there you go. Look at this. You want a Dairy Queen? No, you're on a diet. I tell you what, folks, it's been Wild West. Blow the top off one, certainly blow the dog off the chain here. If the dog wasn't there, the chain would be there. I think I'll go home to my wife and mister, mate. I said, I think I've had enough of this. But folks, the wild west coast of Tasmania is certainly west. This is K-Bush, I'm Rex Hunt, and this is Rex Hunt Fishing Adventures. I tell you what, I'm freezing.
Wahoo!
Well, here we are, sitting under the shadow of Mount Gower at the southern end of Lord Howe Island. A few handfuls of burley in the water, and Bushy's hooked up already. How you going there, Bushy?
Oh, I don't know who's winning.
He's got a big silver trevally on, and he's in all sorts of strife, but I think he might finally have the fish's head. It's taken a bit of line off him, and it's going for the bottom. We can see fish swimming all around the back of the boat here with our Polaroid sunglasses on, and it's just a matter of drifting back a bait, and bingo, and that's what Bushy's done. Let's see if I can get one. Bushy will make this a double.
Tell you what, they've got a bit of go in them, Steve, when they head for the rocks.
Oh, yeah. Can you clear those motors?
Yep. Sure can.
Through you
Look
go,
at
mate.
him, folks. It's a bit better around this side of the boat. These things really pull. Oh, here he is. This is what you call giving the gear the maximum workout. Hear it pinging over the guides. That rod's got a bit of bend in it. But when you've got rocks only 30 feet below you, there's not much to play with. Oh.
What Bushy did was drift just a piece of unweighted pilchard like this down. I've got it rigged here on a fairly small hook, reasonably light leader. Bushy's using about 12 or 15 kilo gel spun line behind his leader, which is the reason he's been able to hang in there on this fish. On 4 or 6 kilo nylon line, it would have taken him to the cleaners in a couple of seconds, but he's been able to dictate terms to the fish a little bit with the gel spun.
Here he comes. We're going to look at him here, I think.
Oh, lovely
Colour
fish,
there.
mate. I'll grab the net.
Get the net, Steve. Oh.
What a beauty. That's a big silver.
Will he fit in that net, Steve?
Just.
Woo!
Oh, that is a big silver trevally, folks.
Oh.
Get him out for you, Bushy. Two
What's
hook.
those 2 hooks,
Yep.
Steve?
Bushy was using a 2-hook rig in the pilchard. Might be able to just show it to the folks there when we get it out, Bushy.
Can, yep. 2 hooks, one of them's gone to the side of him, and the other one's in his rubbery lip.
You can see inside his mouth there. They're actually very easy to handle, these guys. No scouring pads or anything in there. They eat mostly soft-bodied invertebrates and so on, so they don't have any teeth. The only thing you've got to be a little bit careful of is this row of scoots down here near the tail, modified lateral line scales. Nowhere near as sharp as the big GTs or giant trevally we catch up in the tropics, but still can give you a little bit of a cut. Interestingly, they're not as sharp in the big fish as they are in a small one. Might put him back, I think.
Give him a swim, Steve. He's earned his freedom.
You want to give him a kiss?
No, thank you, Steve.
Not on first dates.
I'd rather give you a kiss than that fish. A
Bit
kiss,
of a worry.
Stevie.
Okay, off he goes.
Woo-hoo.
Well done, mate.
Not a bad first 5 minutes on the spot.
He's got it. Yes! Now, this is what we're after. Oh, this is certainly not the size we're after. But this is a little bluefish. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? You can see why they call them a bluefish. They come a lot brighter blue than this too, but they've always got the little golden spots there. They're in the blackfish family, the same family that contains the luderick and the black drummer back on the east coast. The family's called Gorella. And this guy used to be found all down the east coast of New South Wales, but is almost non-existent over there now. The only last stronghold of them is here at Howe Island. They grow a lot bigger than this. They're beautiful to eat. This one's swallow. Oh no, I'll be able to get this little hook out. I'll just grab my pliers, because I'm sure we're going to get some bigger ones than this, or I hope so anyway. They're one of the most delicious fish to eat and very popular here on the island. I don't really want to leave this hook in him, so I'll see if I can get it out. There we go. I'm using a very small chemically sharpened hook, and I thought, seeing we're after blue fish, I might as well use a blue hook, and it worked. Okay, mate. Oh! Now, the big fish turned up first in the burley trail, as often happens, but as more and more burley's gone in the water, a number of small fish have moved in, small silver trevally, drummer and bluefish, and I've changed over to light tackle. I'm using 8-pound line on a small thread line reel and a long soft rod. Although it's soft in the tip, it's got plenty of power here in the butt end, which is important for controlling the fish. I've hooked up straight away. These fish wouldn't be so much fun on the heavier gear, but they're good fun on light gear. Now what's this one? I think it's a little drummer actually. Yes it is, one of these little silver drummer, and he's grabbed that little piece of prawn bait there. What is it, Bushy?
Oh, it's a little bluefish. God, they're fun when you change over to this little light gear. Just this 2-kilo gear. Beautiful little fish. Look at that on the bread. Aren't they fantastic little fish?
I want you to see a big one, because they're just like that, but even brighter and with the little gold spots.
I want to see a big one too.
Hanging off the end of your line.
Give me time. See you later, fish. Oh, well, that'll teach them, Steve.
That certainly will.
We've had a few sharks move in on our silver trevally bite, and they've been taking us to the cleaners. We've been hooking the silver trevally, and the sharks have been chewing them up before the fish can be landed. So I've put a little wire trace on this one, and we're going to give this one a little bit of curry for you. Oh. Strong little things, though.
Oh, they go, don't they?
Got a lot of power for small things.
There's a few swimming around down there. I'll be interested to see which one you've got.
You can see them swimming around just below the school of trevally.
Oh, he's not a bad one, Bushy.
It's enough to give a bit of a bend to the rod.
Not a bad one at all. Certainly one of the larger ones that's around. Most of these little whalers are only about 1 metre or so long. This guy's probably 1.5 metres. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll jump out there on the back.
Here he is, right here.
Yep.
Round you, Steve.
I
picked up
line,
one.
that's all right.
That'll be all right. You gonna try and grab him a bit before we get the hook out?
Yeah. Not a good place to have your foot, really, is it? Now, he's only just hooked in the corner of the jaw, which is good. What I can do is just put his head on here.
You got that knife, Steve?
Yeah,
We'll just
I'll
cut
swap
his...
the pliers for the knife. There's just a little tiny bit of meat holding him now. I'd rather not leave the hook in him if we can help it.
He's gone.
And he'll be right. He'll be back down there terrorising those trevally in a few minutes. Well, there you go. That was a pretty exciting little session. Big silver trevally. We've had drummer swimming around. We've seen rat kingies. And then the sharks moved in, as so often happens when you get a hot bite going. It's probably time to go home now and have a nice cup of tea.
Sounds good to me, Steve.
Rex. Gone fishing.
I'm here on the west coast of Cape York with Greg Bethune, who runs the Capricorn Mist charter operation. And I'm up here to try out a brand new piece of ground that Greg's discovered. Now, I've had my ear bashed for about the last 3 weeks by Steve Starling because he caught a huge mackerel on this same ground. And I've been talking to Greg and he's promised to give me a shot at the bottom fishing. As far as we know, no one's ever dropped a bait down to the bottom on this patch of reef. So I think we'll give it a shot and hope for the best.
Good idea.
Let's do it.
Bet I get one before you, Bush.
Now, you reckon as soon as we get down near the bottom, something
so.
might go bang?
That echo sounded looked good.
I'll tell you what, I've been G'd up for this for about a week on the way.
A little bit of current as well. That's always a good sign.
Right. So that stirs up a bit of feed?
Yeah. No run, no fun. You should know that.
Oh, well, I don't know about these grounds, Greg. This is your territory. All right, and how deep is it here?
It's about 22 metres, Bushy.
22
and
metres.
it's only a rubble bottom, so we shouldn't get too many snags.
Right.
Just like scattered PCs on the bottom. The odd
Right.
tucker box freezer thrown in.
That's fair. I think I have got to the bottom. So the trick, you lift it up slightly off the bottom and then...
Oh, no, I just let it sit there. As soon as you feel a bite, just strike.
Oh, come on, fish. Got a bite here. A bit of inquiry, Greg. Yes. Yes! Got him. Oh. Yeah, it feels reasonable, Greg. That tip's doing a bit of thumping. What sort of fish might do that for us?
Oh, I don't know, Bush. There's half a dozen different species you'll get here. So I won't call it until I see some colour.
Oh, well, if it was at home, it'd feel a bit like a little snapper.
Oh, it's a sweet lip, Bushy.
Oh, they're tasty tucker, aren't they, Greg?
Oh, I think we'll let this guy go, though. I'm pretty sure we'll get something better than that.
Let it go. Food, Greg. Eat. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I like, a confident guide.
Yep.
Oh, well, if we don't get one,
You'll be right.
could be bundy bundy. What do you got there, Greg?
No, just a little bite there, Bush. Hold on, maybe he'll come back. Oh, yes!
Back
Yes!
all right.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!
Is that what you do in Queensland when you get a bite?
Yahoo!
Make like the
Yahoo!
cowboy.
It's not very big, Bushy.
I've just had a bad thing happen, Greg, while you've been doing that.
Oh, that's you out of the game for
Very
a while.
bad thing. Something's taken a big liking to my hook.
Hmm.
Oh! Now this isn't the same sweet lip.
No, this is a different one.
It's a bigger one.
Pretty good fish, though, all the same. I favour letting these guys go, Bushy.
Really?
I like eating the redfish.
The redfish.
Yeah.
And are you sure we're going to get these redfish?
Well, let's hope so.
Oh, I'm scared of guides that keep telling me to let good
They're-
eating fish go.
They're good fish, though, aren't they?
Okay.
See you later.
If we don't get the redfish, you're in trouble.
Normally it takes a little bit, you know. You get a few little rubbish fish, like some Spanish flags or small sweet lip, and the activity of those fish being caught can bring in the bigger ones. Oh, Bushy! Wait, me too.
You too. Double hook up. Oh, mine's gone your way.
Uh-oh,
Yours gone mine.
uh-oh.
What have you got?
I don't know.
Oh, I've got a bitey
Oh,
shark.
you've got the body shark.
Oh dear.
Let's see what this is.
Probably. Whoops. I haven't got a bitey shark anymore. He bit me.
This one. Let's have a look at this one, Bushy.
That's...
Ooh, oh, look at this, Bush. This is a coral trout.
Trout.
Woohoo.
Now, don't tell me you're going to throw that one back. Look at that. Oh, it's a nice little trout.
This is an island trout, Bush. You see how it's got the elongated blue spots as opposed to the ones they get on the Great Barrier Reef?
It's very pale.
Island or coastal trout.
Very pale too.
Well, that's probably just the depth of water. As you know, they can change colour as they wish. I wouldn't mind letting this guy go, Bushy, actually.
Oh, really? This spot better be good because he's let more good tucker go here than I've seen in a month of Sundays down south. You sure you know what you're doing here, Greg? If we have to eat wheat bix tonight for dinner, there's going to be big trouble. Okay, here he goes. A bottom baits for fishing this little rubble patch, it's very simple. It's just a hole pilchard and a fairly light sinker because we're only in about 20 metres of water. So we just need enough to float the bait down to where the fish are living. No problem. We'll sneak this one in and see what happens.
I got a bite, Bushy, and I didn't sink the hook, but it came back for a second go.
Right.
Funny looking trevally.
Ah, the bludger. The bludger trevally. Whoa. Didn't you want that one, Greg?
It's not really a bludger. That's a funny looking one. I don't know what that is. Maybe Steve would know. We'd have to take a photograph of this and get Steve to identify it for us.
It's a silver one with a green back. Yeah, that's no problem. Now, I don't think that'll be good eating tucker if you've been making me let all these other things
We'll
go.
release this one.
There's a heck of a variety anyway, Greg.
There's a lot of fish. We caught about 6 fish for about 5 different species, Bushy.
Yeah, but not the one you promised me. We need the big red one.
I see you saboed my leader here. Did you put a few little scuff marks on this?
Well, I think you are a couple in front. I'll just go and grab another bait.
Hold on. Ah! Yes!
Well, it's got a bit of kick in it, Greg.
Oh, don't quite know what this is, Bushy.
Oh,
look at this. Look at this.
Oh, no!
Red Emperor. And what a nice one,
Have a
Bush.
look at it all. It's only just hooked. Ooh, the hook's just in it. Yes! Oh, I tell you what, he's promised us the Red Emperor. We've thrown everything in the world back that's good to eat, and you've done it, Greg.
Thanks,
Have
Bush.
a look at that for a fish. Ooh. Now that is just fantastic. Now you're not going to throw this one back, are you?
Just for you, my man.
Thank God for that. We can eat tonight. Well, that's about it from us here. But that's just a beautiful fish and we've had a fantastic day. Thanks, Greg.
G'day folks, and thanks a lot for tuning the dial to Rex Hunt Fishing Adventures. We've got a good show for you today. Sit back and relax. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, thank you, mother, for the rabbit. Oh, unbelievable, folks. Rexy boy has done it again. Coffin Bay in South Australia might sound like a deadly spot, folks, but in fact it's home to some of Australia's best oyster farms. And Yibbida Yibbida, they're magnificent. And those terrible twins are at it again. They take on Australia's leading sports fish, the mighty barramundi. Rex.
Gone fishing. Kissing them, throwing them back. Rex. Gone fishing. Kissing them, throwing them back.
Folks, today I'm at Coffin Bay on the west coast of South Australia, about 40 clicks this side of Port Lincoln. And it's a magnificent little fishing village, I can tell you now. And one fish we've never had on the show is encased by a shell. It's called an oyster. Now, they reckon they're not a bad aphrodisiac, so I've ordered a few kilos to be delivered to my joint. But seriously, this is South Australia's oldest established oyster farm, and it's run by a couple of characters called Glad and Joe Bullock. Let's see if they're home. Anybody home? Joe.
Ah.
Rex Hunt, mate.
Oh, how are you, Rex?
How are you, mate? I'm in the area.
Uh-huh.
Now, I heard you got the best oysters in South Australia. Now, what's the deal?
Well, I reckon they are, Rex. And I'll tell you what, we're just about to go out on the water and have a little look around the farm, so you'd be quite welcome to come out and have a look if you'd so wish.
Oh.
Got a fishing line with you?
Just happen to have one in the boot of the car, mate.
Okay.
Thank you very much, mate.
Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Gladys, we've got a visitor, Rex Hunt.
Oh, hello, Rex.
How are you? Lovely to see you. I knew I was in the right place. You know why? Because I saw your wrap sitting out on the table out there. The Glad wrap.
Yes, that's so well known.
Now, your second name is Oyster. Gladys Oyster Bullock. Now, how long have you been at this?
About 19 years.
19 years. What makes a good oyster as against a bad oyster? Because the joke is, you know, I had 12 oysters and only 11 worked.
Well, here's a good oyster.
Why is that a good oyster?
Because it has a... quality is very, very important. It has a lot good meat,
Yeah.
plenty of fat line. Here's another good oyster.
Yeah.
Same thing. These are not really at their tops because we're just coming back off a spawning season.
What's a crook one?
Here's a crook one. Down in the shell.
Yeah.
There's your comparison.
It's amazing.
If you put bacon and cheese on that and put it in it, you probably wouldn't know the difference, but the flavour wouldn't be there like it would be in that one there.
You still got to lie straight in bed at night, don't you? You can't put out the old product.
No way.
Now, Joe, these are not native to South Australia like the south coast of New South Wales with the Sydney Rock ones where they spat themselves. Tell us a bit of the history of how these shells end up here and the journey that they travel.
Well, actually, they're from the Pacific Ocean where they originally came from, Rex. And Tasmania first got them in over to Tasmania and they've reproduced them. And there they were very lucky because they've got a lot of fresh water runs into the salt water there, so it breaks the salinity down. So therefore they reproduce very, very well.
Yeah.
And so we buy our young oysters from Tasmania, and out there in the oyster beds I'll show you some younger ones. That's nearly a 2-year-old oyster that is. So. Predators, we have a couple of them that do worry them, like little flatworm and things like that, but that's all farming methods and how you grow them, and so we keep them right up high and that the flatworm doesn't like that.
I see one of my favourite feathered bird varieties out there, the pelican. Aren't they just majestic? And it must be hard to have an office like this.
It is. It's amazing there to look out. Very good.
You like a Ma and Pa kettle. It's a lifestyle. Do you both love what you're doing? Or
Yes. It's fantastic.
Yes. No, it's a good lifestyle.
Isn't that magnificent? Well, it looks like a customer's come in. You better go and serve them, and we'll go out and have a look at this magnificent operation. I like the look of those pelicans. And put the kettle on too while you're at it, Joe.
Like that? Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, mate, we do it all the time. Sometimes we go right under. And this is where we have our adult oysters that are getting nearly ready for market. And the reason being, Rex, so that we can get at them, and they do on grow well, but also in the winter time, now we're walking around like this, but the water can be way up here. So you've got to be able to stand on top of the trays and scoop the oysters out.
Fish, fiddler rays, stingrays,
All in amongst them and that, yes, and they all live happily here together, that's for sure. The whiting on the bottom.
So you've actually added to the environment, haven't you?
Absolutely, Rex. Yes, no, we're very happy, and I think most of the environmental people are quite happy now with it too. The way that the birds live in here, as you've seen, the pelicans, the fish.
They're continually changing their shell like a snake, are they?
That's exactly. Yeah. Oh, no. Well, they just on grow shell, Rex. Really, that's what they do. They're just
get harder and harder.
Harder and harder. Yes. Now there's a typical example, Rex, of just pushing out the new shell. You can see the white part there just coming on him. That means that oyster's getting very close to being fat. That's the first sign we look for before we start opening. Otherwise, if you open too early, well, therefore you're going to waste a lot of oysters. So this is the telltale signs that we do get. And we start to see that shell poking out. Well, we know that the meat inside that oyster is getting very close to being ready.
Off, eh?
And that's them.
Well, mate, you could do some damage in there with a bit of salt and pepper and a bit of lemon, couldn't you?
This is right. Well, actually, Rex, our motto is eat Coffin Bay fish and live longer, eat Coffin Bay oysters and love longer. So, and it does work.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
And this is the way.
How you going, Glenn?
Oh, hello, Rex.
Had a look at the farm, just magnificent. Nice looking office.
Oh, this is the best office in the world.
I got no argument for that. I got an argument with that. Joe's dropped me a bit of a line. It could be a bit of a tall story about you being on the phone and being on the other line. What about telling our viewers all about it?
Well, I've got to admit, this is a true story. Not this one is really true. I fish out of my office door.
Yeah.
I can throw a line out there, but this day I got a bite on the line as the phone rang. The phone's over there.
Inconsiderate of them.
Very inconsiderate. So I went to the phone and said, excuse me, I have a call on the other line. Came over here, pulled in my whiting. As you know, they're a little touchy and you can't leave them too long. Pulled in my whiting, went back and answered the phone.
You got your priorities right. Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, yes.
Well, I've heard there's a few whiting in the area. What say you and I drop a line together?
Very good. Let's hope you have a bit of luck.
A bit of a new line for a bird, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hey?
my
Fantastic.
word.
You come here often? Fantastic. Look at that. You lose many people here?
No, not the sober ones.
Not this week. It's not the fall that it hurt, Glad. It's that shocking bump at the end.
Yes.
So there you are, folks. When I started this particular venture, you know, I was keen to show Australia that fishing has got its characters. Joe and Glad Bullock here at Coffin Bay, they're certainly characters, and they've got the best tasting oysters in the land, folks. Give them a try, particularly if they smarten you up a bit in the cot. I'm going to break my wife's oyster eating record. 27 dozen during the Christmas break. Magnificent.
Rex. Gone fishing.
We're off to a secret location to catch barramundi, but I will give you a little clue. It's in Cape York.
Now we've had a little bit of action on the sinking flies, but the fish seem to have gone a bit quiet at the moment. So what I'm going to do, I've just put on a popper. It's a cup-faced popper. It's actually got a styrofoam body covered in mylar tubing and a little bit of a tail hanging off the back of it. I'll show you what it does. I'll just cast it out there in the conventional manner and it floats on the surface. And because of that cup face, when I pull on the line, it goes pop, pop, pop and makes a little explosion, and it's a bit like a small fish in trouble. Sometimes I think that barra are actually attracted by it because it sounds like another barra hitting bait fish on the surface, making that buffing sound on the surface. And sometimes they'll work when nothing else will. You know, I'm using a sinking line here, a slow sinking line, an intermediate line, but I can still work a popper on it because the line doesn't sink all that fast, and this is a fairly buoyant popper, so it allows me quite a bit of flexibility, this line. Just work it over the snag there. That's a oh, you wouldn't believe it. That fish came shooting up out of the depths, exploded all over the popper and missed it. Oh, come on, mate. I know you're still there. There he is.
Yes.
You've got him.
Oh,
yes, beauty.
Oh, this is what we've come for.
Oh, he's heading back into the snag. What a lovely fish.
Ooh, yummy. Oh, Greg was right. The old secret spot.
The old secret spot.
Don't tell anyone about the secret spot.
Isn't that a lovely fish?
Good fish on a fly rod. Oh, he's gone for the snags.
Just to see him come out and woof it like that. Fantastic.
Oh, he'll probably jump again.
Great fish. He's really carving up in there. That's good. He might get the others excited.
I'm sure he will. That's not a bad barra. Oh, come on, fish.
I'll jump down in there, Bushy, and grab him for you.
No worries.
Oh,
Had a handling just for the comfort lift.
Yeah. Little nondescript sort of fly, wasn't it?
Yeah, just like those little hardy heads. Little dark back.
Yep. Open your mouth, mate. I got him.
Oh, ripper.
Oh, Bushy.
Ooh. that's fun.
You can get that out of there.
Oh, Greg Bethune, secret spot. You just want me to ruin my fly with the pliers, don't you?
Just for a change. You're shaking, Bushy. Look at that tiny little fly. Just show people how small that is. It's on about a number 2 hook. Yeah. And they eat all sorts of little prawns and shrimps and things too, and that fly would imitate any of those things. All right, we better get this bloke back in the water.
What a beauty.
Lovely fish.
There he goes. Hope he tells a few of his mates that we're here and we need a bit of fun. Start, but I reckon there's more in there, Steve.
There's more in there.
Anyone in there for you? Well, they sort of were getting keen, and just that one came out and did the deed. Just opened his mouth at the right time. Tell you what, we're going to have our work cut out in here for if we
get a big one.
A big one. Snags to the left of us, snags to the right.
We're going to do some brush cutting, I think, if we.
So, it doesn't get heaps better than that. I guess it's the ultimate cliche, but when you see a big barra come out of a snag in clear water and just go crunch and eat your fly. Ooh.
Oh, yes! Did you see that? That thing came shooting up out of the depths. Oh, I wonder if he'll come back.
Oh, I'm in. Yes, right. That's that
Nice little fish.
Oh, get him out of that tree.
Looks like there's one with him too.
Yep. Oh, he's got some go in him. That's not supposed to happen, Steve.
No, there was a barra there, I think, and the trevally beat him to it.
We were told this was a secret barra snag. No one said anything about secret trevally up the river.
Don't they go in close quarters like that?
To the snag, come on, come out of there.
I don't mind. I think all that flashing around down there could be. Oh, it's a golden.
Oh, golden up the river.
Nice stuff. Geez, a prettily marked one, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a nice colour. Gee, they got some kick in them too. Oh, well.
Nice
Golden, that's a bit of a
golden
surprise when you're trying to catch barramundi. But he is a beautifully marked fish. Got the nice yellow fins, bars. Juveniles often have quite well marked. There we go. Dropping back in anyway. Added a bit of excitement to the barra snag stick.
Yeah, you never know what's going to come along next.
All right.
There's a fish. Look at that.
Yep, he's... Oh, yes!
Oh, gee.
Get him out of that snag.
He's gone into the snag.
Oh,
He's a good fish. Ooh. Look at him go. Look at him go.
woohoo! Nice
Look
fish.
at that.
That's a good fish.
Oh, Bushy, what a lovely fish.
Come on, fish.
Oh, yes. That's what these fish like. They move around a lot on the tides. People think that they hang on the one snag, but they don't. They're actually quite mobile fish. But they will move into an area like this during a certain state of the tide, and they'll just hang there in a hole or a gutter under some snags. This is a prime location here because we've got a big snag pile on a corner at the mouth of a creek, and it's just perfect barramundi habitat. Oh, this bloke thought so anyway, and he's just not giving in. Yeah, he's just hooked on the outside of the mouth. I think it's pretty good, Bushy, if you can get a jaw grip on him there and pass him up to me, that would be just wonderful. Thanks, mate. Well done. Oh, that's great, mate. Let's have a look at him. The way to hold these, nice tight thumb grip in the bottom jaw. Don't be afraid to squeeze nice and hard on the membrane there. You won't hurt the fish. And always support the weight of the fish under the belly. It becomes increasingly important as the fish get larger that you don't just hang them by the bottom jaw. It's not good for them at all. Displaces all their internal organs and stretches their backbone. You wouldn't like it much being held up by the bottom jaw. And I'll get down there and we'll get this bloke back in the water. Oh, he's just a beautiful fish. Look at that. They're too good a fish to kill, really. And there are better things around to eat, I reckon. Oh. Look at that. Oh, he's ready to go already. It's always a good idea just to hold them there in the current, make sure they're okay. Give them a little bit of a swim if necessary. They give you a bite on the thumb to let you know when they're ready. Oh, he is definitely ready. Look at that.
folks, those of you who've followed the show for many, many years would recognise this man as a regular on the South Australian segment, Shane Menforth. It's good to see you back on the show, Shane.
Good to have you back here, mate.
Actually, it's Shane Alexander Mensforth. He's changed his name to Shane Alexander Angler. You think he'd get more plugs for that magazine of yours?
Great magazine, mate.
But seriously, the South Australian magazine is fantastic, and I've read about this sailing ship, and you've invited me on board today.
The Failey.
The Failey.
It's not your average charter boat, Rex. This little thing's about nearly 75 years old. Came from Holland, brought here. It's had a checkered history. Now it's been converted into a fishing boat, and it's just fantastic.
And have you been on this often, this boat?
This is my 62nd fishing trip, would you believe?
Shane, when are you going to start sort of getting serious about your fishing out of Adelaide aboard the Failey?
Well, I've been doing this since 1994, and I just love it. I just love the sea, I just love this place.
Enough of the history lesson, Shane. Let's cut to the chase. Where's the fishing?
Well, we're between Wedge and Thistle Island at the bottom of Spencer Gulf. We're going to be hitting a reef in about 55 or 60 metres of water.
We're going to be hitting a reef?
Well, figuratively speaking. The anchor will be hitting the reef and we'll be hitting it with our sinkers.
I just get a little bit nervous after seeing Titanic a few months ago. I saw the band warming up down there. So we're wedged between here and Thistle Island.
Exactly, and hopefully we'll catch some big nanny guy, a red snapper, blue moorwong or two, and maybe some ordinary pink snapper. Fingers crossed.
And apart from your beautiful wife, Mary, what promises are you making me?
I've made plenty of promises to you before in the past.
What are you saying today?
I'm just about guarantee we'll catch some nanny guy. How's that?
You've worked it out for yourself, folks. You've seen it on international television. We're going fishing with Shane. This is all new for me, folks. Fishing on the back of a boat that has so much tradition, you can almost smell the atmosphere on board. I'll tell you what, that sound you can hear through that level wind is this new gel spun line they're all raving about. And where it really excels, and I stress that I'm not a great fan of it in casting situations like barramundi, although a lot of blokes swear by it when they're catching mangrove jacks to pull the fish away from the snags. But where it is unbeatable as far as the old bearded burbler is concerned is in deep water situations where we had to use half a house brick for a sinker to try and get to the bottom in 50 metres like we are now. We're going to use about a third of that. Now, I'll just try and bring these two fish up. Now, these are swallowtail nanagai. And have a look, there's some of the prettiest fish in the sea. We've had nanagai on the show before, Shane, and what we have to explain to our young people is you don't go grabbing these and kissing them on the first date.
Oh, no.
Can you point out just exactly what we're looking at there?
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, all right, I'll do it. Down here on the gill rakers, behind the eyes, on the lips, very, very nasty stuff. And what I usually do is get a feel for the fish and grab it solidly where there's none of this artillery that can cut you. Now that can actually cut you to the bone. I'll give him a kiss and put him back, and I must stress, kids, no kissing on first dates with nanagai. And another one here is, he's copped it through the cranium, and I'll give him a kiss. What do you got there, Shane? You doing all right, son?
I got one of those too, I reckon, mate.
All right?
Yeah, they get a lot bigger. These swallowtails are fairly small, but the red snapper or the nanny-eye Rex get up to about 4 kilos here.
Now, you went to painstaking efforts to pinpoint this position.
Yep.
You better tell us a little bit about why you are so painstaking in the effort to get X marks the spot in the middle of the ocean.
Well, we're in about 80 metres of water all around us here, Rex. And every now and again you find one of these mountains like we've got here at the moment.
Look at this.
Comes up to about 40 metres.
Yeah.
Now this guy here is a red snapper. That's different to what you caught before.
I see. A red snapper. Now, to me in Western Australia, I would have called that a nanagai.
Yeah, we call them nanny-guys here too. But their correct name is red snapper.
Same artillery,
yeah,
Shane?
Same artillery. Shouldn't be doing that.
No, that's all right.
Actually,
what we do is we might just lay it on the sleeve there. I'm sure my wife will wash that for me. And I might just grab him underneath there. And now I've got a firm look on him, and Shane can just take out the hook just like that. So there you are. You call that a red snapper. Is
Yeah,
that still a Nanagai?
It's, well, it's part of the Nanagai family.
Yeah.
You can tell by this silver lateral line they've got here.
Any good to eat?
Magnificent to
They
eat.
come a bit better.
Yeah, we should get some double that size if we persist here for a while.
I'm going to kiss this one. And I tell you what, if he swims away and we don't catch another one for tea,
I'm in trouble.
look down that lens.
I'm in trouble.
Bundi.
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 Again.
That's just a nice fish, isn't it? It's where we get into the lift and wind, folks. You heard me say it all those years ago. Lift and wind. Because if you just wind like that,
Oh, yeah, I'm on a
away
good
you
one
go.
too.
Can someone get that phone? This is Australia calling. This is Australia calling. What do you got, Shane?
I got a good one too, I think, Rex. Better nanny.
A better nanny.
Yep.
I tell you what, those big albatross, have a look.
Amazing birds, aren't
Now, we started filming here. The crew just gave up the ghost, down tools, and they're fishing. Is that the way it runs on this boat? They're very busy.
they? Yeah, mate, they all love fishing.
Have a look at the line of them down there, I tell you what.
Once it gets into full swing.
I think I'll get a job on this boat, folks. Now, I'll let you get yours in first.
Get this out of the way.
What happened there, Shane?
No, that's all right. I'm just trying to keep mine away from yours, mate.
Yes, please. Keep your rod away from mine, mate.
Uh-oh. Where are we here?
Now, I've had a little bit of monofilament collision here.
Ooh, I think we're going to be okay, though.
I think we are. Look at yours. Now, is that a swallowtail?
Nah, it's a Nanagai red snapper. It's not a real big one, but it's better than we've been catching. He's a keeper, at least.
A keeper for tea?
Oh, yeah, you betcha. They're fantastic to eat. I prefer them to snapper to eat, Rex.
Got a very big mouth.
Have they ever? You can look right in there. You can see those hooks right down there. Just about put your head in and have a look.
This is just fantastic, my fish. You know, just when I wanted to show you folk how good we were going, that's what I got back. You can see there on the end of that 6-0 hook is a piece of his facial scale. Not of the facial hair, the facial scale. And it's just enough for the fish to do a half somersault, difficulty of 7, with not a very good entry into the water. And yibbida yibbida, folks, that's all. But there's always next time. You better believe me.
Wow.